And now, with much honor, I would like to call upon Professor Bertil Andersson, President of Nanyang Technological University, to give the opening speech of this three-day international conference.
Captain Zhong Shenping, Dean of MPA Academy, distinguished speakers and guests, friends and colleagues from NTU, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. I must say, it's fantastic to be here at Singapore's first major conference on maritime heritage. So I wish to extend to all of you a warm welcome, to all the participants, speakers and panel chairpersons here to NTU. Organized by Paralimes and School of Art, Design and Media, this is a special edition of the Singapore Heritage Science Conference series held here at NTU. This conference is in collaboration with the MPA Academy, as we heard. As Singapore celebrates its Golden Jubilee this year, this conference on exploring maritime heritage dynamics is a timely opportunity to reflect on the richness of Singapore's port and maritime heritage, and to explore what the future holds for the maritime industry here. Singapore's port has been a cornerstone in this island's economy for nearly 200 years, I would say, and possibly even earlier. For example, excavation archaeologist John Michix, who is speaking here at this conference, showed that as early as the 14th century, this ancient port of Temasek was an important trading link between Indian Ocean, South China Sea, and the Java Sea. You can talk about the crossroads here. The British, of course, also recognized this, and under their colonial ruling, Singapore cemented its status as a key trading port and swiftly grew to become one of the world's busiest ports. Of course, I'm a Swede, and being here in Singapore, and of course we have our history. Sweden is 960 years old, so this with 50 is not so enormous for us, you see. And we also have our history, and we also have our heritage, maritime heritage history. And maybe the most famous one is the ship Vasa, who was taken up from the Sea of the Baltic in 1968 after going under in the harbor of Stockholm in around 1630, 1628, I think it was. And of course it was a big thing, and I remember as a young boy seeing how this ship was taken up from the sea. And it was very much preserved, because in the Baltic it's brackish water that is perfect for preserving wood. So this is a museum, and I guess some of you have been here to see that in Stockholm. So I would even say that this is the icon of Swedish history. So the maritime history is quite pronounced in my country. It has really the dot over the I in our history, because this is a real witness from that time. Of course, it's not such a glorious memory, because this ship sank because it was misconstructed. The king was in war during the 30 Years' War, and he had said, I want more cannons. And of course, the poor architect of the ship jumped and made one more floor, which made the ship very unstable. So when there came a thunderstorm over central Stockholm, the ship sank. So it was a big scandal. But I still think it's a nice heritage. So coming back to modern times, so let us come back to Singapore from the cold Sweden. Here, during the last 50 years, the government's foresight in planning and its bold investments and continuous upgrading of the workforce and infrastructure have enabled this island to retain its position as a leading port in the world. It has excellent connectivity, top-notch facilities, and well-trained manpower to provide the best service to its customers. In September this year, Singapore retained its #1 spot on an index of global shipping centers for the second year in a row. Singapore stood up among more than 40 other ports, including London and Hong Kong, for its large port facilities and comprehensive maritime business service infrastructure. I have been here in Singapore for 9 years, coming from Sweden, as I said. And in the earlier days of my stay, I couldn't really understand that the Singaporean was not impressed by NTU's going forward. We weren't up like a rocket in all these ranking and so on. But then I was told, and then I realized, that you have to realize, Swedish President, that Singapore is a country which already had the world's #1 airport, #1 airline, #1 port, of course. So being #2 is being last. Tough luck for you, right? So, this morning, I'm happy that we can add another #1 to Singapore, as NTU now has become the #1 young university in the world, passing Hong Kong UST, and I think that is good. The worst thing by being one is that you only can go in one direction. That is my only concern. So, coming back to the importance of the maritime industry in Singapore, and as it continues to undergo a period of rapid change, we need to raise some important questions. For example, how should the maritime industry develop long-range strategies for adapting to climate change? What will happen when we can sail north of Russia and Siberia when going from the west to the east? Just one example. How do we strengthen maritime education and enhance the competencies of the maritime leaders and professionals so they are future ready? What about environmental issues? Finding the right answers to these questions and others can help us to formulate fresh strategies to ensure the continued success of Singapore port and maritime industry. As a public university, NTU has and will continue to play an important role in Singapore's progress. We have a quite comprehensive and deep collaboration with a variety of industry, national as well as international. So as a follow-up to last year's Maritime Heritage Workshop at NTU, this conference will therefore contribute to deeper understanding of how maritime heritage, including Singapore's own rich maritime history, can be an important resource for crafting present and future sustainable policies. I mean, it's a little bit interesting that the person who suggested this, Helga Novotny, come from Austria, which not have a very big maritime industry. So, by leveraging, her idea was that we should leverage on the cross-disciplinary field, such as complexity theory and heritage science. I'm confident that this conference can lead to meaningful outcomes and creative solutions to some of the important future challenges that Singapore's maritime sector faces. We are therefore privileged to bring together professionals and experts from diverse disciplines to this conference. Today with us are two eminent experts to deliver keynote speeches this morning. They are Professor David Abalafia, who specializes in Mediterranean history, coming from University of Cambridge, and Professor Roger Kahn, Dean of the School of Advanced Study at the University of London and Vice President of the British Academy. Their insights and perspective will help us to fuel new ideas during the conference, so really welcome. So, as NTU President, I'm happy to support this interdisciplinary initiative this year and maybe other years. By deepening our understanding of Singapore's rich maritime heritage experience, we can inspire and prepare the next generation of maritime leaders and professionals to succeed in an uncertain and volatile future. So, let me end by wish you all productive and an enjoyable conference. Thank you very much.